Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread. I'm Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Bowton Blake, and the man of the hour, Ty Lee. Guys, it's been a pretty quiet week here over at the Schooner Pod. Not much commotion at all, especially from a certain Big Orange fan base. But okay, that's a garbage way to intro this. My mentions have been on fire because one Mr. Ty Lee over here on the upper left, what referred to you as a Timu Ron Weasley. If you missed this during during the Schooner Pod earlier this week, he went on and made a bit of a crack about Josh Heupel, and specifically if OU lost to Tennessee, that they should fire Brent Venables. Ty, what has this been like for you today? Do you have anything to explain your actions?
Yeah.
Oh, what a start!
we get the big eyes on us, and the dog interrupts. Gotta love it.
Yes, but unfortunately, a little segment that was targeted at OU's coaching staff, I was taken as anti-Josh Heupel, which it is not. Sort of the core thing was that he should be our coach, which I do firmly believe, because of the results he's produced there. So Tennessee trash talk nonetheless. One thing that we cannot stand for is the misinformation that I am anti-Heupel. I think if you go look at the weekend spread that we're looking at right now, one of us has consistently picked Tennessee, and that is me. So we'll see what's going on with that. But yes, unfortunately, the Tennessee hate, does that exist? We'll find out next week. But Josh Heupel, certainly not. If you'll tune into the rest of the pod, which we hope you do, you'll see that I was jabbing at our OC the entire time and the rest of our coaching staff the rest of the time. So just clarify that bit, and then we'll roll from there.
And I think for the record, Jameson and I can both agree, do not fire Brent Venables if they lose to Tennessee. I think the Vols are going to be I think that goes without saying. I think the Vols are going to be pretty damn good this season. I think that's going to be a really tough game. And but yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Losing to Tennessee and losing to this Josh Heupel coach team would not be a disgrace. Oh boy.
No, see, that's the crux of the argument, though. This is OU made a terrible decision 10 years ago that we're now suffering for. We should get rid of anyone who loses to Josh Heupel because OU has painted themselves into this corner that everything we have is better than him. So again, crux of the bit is that we shouldn't be losing to him, or we should have kept him and not. I honestly very surprised. Shout out to Tennessee fans for knowing all the lore of 2014 with Stoops and the Stoops nepotism and scapegoating Josh. I was actually very, very pleased to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you want to hear something wild? Y'all know what the line right now on DraftKings is for Tennessee, Oklahoma?
Just OU minus 350, right?
14.5.
No, Bobby's close. I don't know if it's changed, but like OU +3 right now. Like, that's wild. That's absolutely wild.
We'll get into that one.
That is not even close. You'd think that it would be like Tennessee minus.
Can you bet on that right now?
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
that's maybe free money.
Yeah, I see it. I don't know. I'm just saying, if Vegas thinks it's going to be a little bit closer, it might be a little bit different from the throngs of Vol fans in my mention saying we're going to get destroyed, which we might. This offensive line.
But if we don't, Bobby.
But if we win, Vol Twitter, y'all going to have some crow to eat.
What is the meme? It usually doesn't work, but if it works for me, what is it?
No. From the Arrested Development.
Yes, that one.
You know, it doesn't work for other people. You know, usually not. They delude themselves into thinking it will, but maybe this time it'll work for us. Quick before we move on, got a couple questions.
No, we're not going to talk about Big 8.
Yeah, I don't know what TriStar is getting at with the question, can OU win the Big 8? Because Nebraska looks like they could. Yeah, I mean, I think OU could beat Nebraska, yeah. I think the Huskers are looking better, but there's not much competition there. I agree with the negative Mizzou takes as well. Love that. All right, let's look. And here's the thing too. for all the people calling Ty a ball not knower, he leads the weekend spread standings, which
High standings. God bless. We are true ball not knowers.
this is a really bad look for our podcast. We'll get some anxiety from these Vols fans, and we look like a bunch of idiots. Ty leads at 13-10.
It's shout out to them though, because farming engagement, we got like 10 times, not even 10 times, probably 1,000 times more with like 100 times less effort than it took to get like a little bit of engagement from Iowa State in years past. So I'm so excited about the SEC. It truly means more.
We thought Iowa State was bad, and dear God, this is nothing compared to that.
You may have been the only one who thought Iowa State was bad, Bob.
Like Iowa State's not like they weren't good compared to what Tennessee's doing. This is nuts. It's fun. We really weren't for real trying to farm for engagement. Ty is just he legitimately is just that way.
Legitimately, y'all just caught on to this one. He does this every week.
I'm actually very confused. There's the most confusing bit of trash talk I've ever seen in the comments right now. Someone says Brahms is better than Whataburger,
which that's a positive for
I don't
Oklahoma.
Understand what's going on here.
I don't know. We don't consider any school west of the Mississippi SEC. But yeah, no, some of the Vols fans are wanting to talk. We might pop in. We might do a
don't give them a false promise, Bobby.
What? You don't want me to just dangle it?
Space.
Then
take up to the spaces.
I feel like it's only fair that if OU loses to Tennessee, that Ty needs to host a solo space.
I think that's fine.
That is permissible. I'll be right there with the Vols fans cheering for Venables to be fired if we lose.
Ty's been asking for the keys to the Twitter account login for the longest time.
They've been asking about where's Ty's Twitter. We can just give him the Twitter. I'm cool with it. Let him cook.
I've been asking. And so once again, it's very confusing because the Tennessee fans and I on like 90% of things are actually 100% in alignment here. It's crazy. I've also demanded the firing of any OU coach who loses at home. So this is a double whammy in the making here potentially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It would be funny because 100% you would end up just turning on the Sooners, and it would be a delightful conversation to listen to. But yeah, if Tennessee wins, we're gonna do a space.
So that's guaranteed.
I guarantee. Let's do it.
Okay.
Why not?
All right, that's going to be the next clip.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah.
Blake, congratulations. Your face is in this clip now, so welcome to it.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I was saying in the private messages today between the four of us, we needed to take it to the spaces. If we really wanted to address this controversy, we needed to do it in that forum.
I mean, it'd be kind of fun. I mean, we'll take it on the chin. Like, honestly, the chances of Tennessee beating us is pretty high at this point. My God, Oklahoma needs something this weekend to show us some kind of hope.
Yeah, no, definitely need some sort of hope because that was very tough. But yeah, if OU beats the Vols or the Vols beat OU, Ty's hosting space where we allow Vols fan to talk to him. Honestly, flip it. We'll do a space anyways, but we know y'all won't pop into that one. So, yeah, there will be a space after OU Tennessee. Yeah, we got to do that. We got to have that happening, to say the least. All right, look, let's dive into
you don't want that, Bobby, because we're going to find alignment there, and then I'm going to join their mafia, and it's not going to be good.
You think Ty's like that?
They're attacking me, but they are my people.
The alternate universe where Ty is absolutely like it is of all is the worst case scenario where like Tennessee Tennessee Ty sounds like just a dangerous situation.
Just gaslight a little bit more to allow them to think that you are a Tennessee fan, Ty.
Well, we'll see when we get to the wild card picks here.
Yeah,
because we got a 50-point Tennessee line.
Oh boy! All right. Let's go ahead and make our picks here. Let's get this thing going. Standings: Ty leading at 13-10. Bowden Blake there at 10-13, and then Jameson and I at the bottom 7-16. It's been a rough start. It's been a rough start for the boys, man.
I have had an excuse. I have not been watching 2 weeks of football, so my picks were basically just the old dice days back in the day, just rolling them, hoping I get something. Y'all been watching some ball and still ended up at 7-16. What in the world's happening?
Well, I had a bad start in week 1, and then a lot of really bad luck in week 2. Arkansas, that loss was probably one of the most infuriating flips ever.
Oh my God.
Because they had the cover, they dominated that game, and they blew it. They absolutely blew it. And, if OSU wins that, before overtime or even in overtime 1, that's a cover. But nope, just had to go screw it up. So that's 1. And it's a bad week. We don't really need to focus on that, I don't think, too much. Ty?
Can I just say, once again, now the Tennessee fans are attacking Trevor Knight, and they do not understand how much they're endearing themselves to me. We have all the same talking points here. They don't. Blake knows this as a TCU fan, but there's no bigger OU hater than me as well. So
Ty said coming into the season, I'm going to try my hardest to be an OU homer.
I know, and they're just
and it's flipped so
it took 2 games into the season versus the 2 terrible opponents, and Ty's already jumping ship.
Yeah, if Houston had any fans, my goodness, imagine how they would have reacted to the things that we said about Houston.
My God, it's funny. It's really funny. We're just having fun here, guys. Everyone, if you guys want to come at us for our intelligence, we're having a blast. So continue to listen. We're gonna keep on going. We have fun. We laugh.
Yeah, we're gonna hang out, talk some ball. Should be fun. Call us ball nut knowers. I don't care. Let's move on.
I'm a true ball not knower right now.
That's what a ball not knower would say. They don't get offended by something that is already true. I pride myself. I'm sick. I'm sick right now that I'm under 500. I am the gold standard of this podcast of winning these pick'em competitions. So I'm sick over here. Y'all are just laughing and giggling. This is where y'all were meant to be. So.
It's like folks laughing on the sidelines when they're losing by 50. You don't like to see it. I see what you mean, Blake.
Yeah,
we'll toughen up. Got to toughen up, get some damn results here. Starting with our first game. It's the 20th ranked Arizona Wildcats, 2-0 overall, 0-2 against the spread. They're heading to the Little Apple to take on K-State, ranked 14th. Wildcats, the purple Wildcats. They're 2-0, also 0-2 against the spread after a narrow victory at Tulane. We'll talk about them quite a bit later. The line we locked was Kansas State -7. So we locked these yesterday. K-State -7. You can find this game 7 p.m. Central on Fox on Friday night. So pretty big game. Like, this is quite possibly the game of the week, if you ask me. I think it's a banger, and I think it'll be really fun to see what happens with this one. Not technically a conference game, though, because of pre-existing non-conference scheduling. So interesting stuff.
It's like Baylor, Utah last week.
Exactly.
Game.
Exactly. All right, Jameson, who do you like in this game?
This one's really weird because what do you want to buy here? Do you want to buy K-State's defense truly looked like sus? Because Arizona's offense is going to give them problems. Tulane still has, they got an athletic quarterback. They got a shifty running back. They've got a good offensive line. Continue to watch while we talk about that in the Oklahoma segment. But I just can't really figure out and tease out, is Arizona also a team that's not as good as we thought they were? It's kind of similar to how I've been viewing Oregon. Why haven't they popped off as much as I thought they would? You saw T-Mac in game 1 really go off, and in game 2, he did nothing versus like Northern Arizona. It's really confusing. I think Arizona just has too much talent here. I think they keep it close enough. And I think that what I saw from Kansas State's defense, I think Fafita and T-Mac can at least make some big plays, keep it close enough. It's going to be a fun game. I wouldn't bet it with my money, but I'm going to go Arizona +7.
Yeah, this is a really tough one because I don't know. Kansas State has been inconsistent in the past. It certainly didn't look great last week, but Arizona's looked bad this entire season, scraping out wins against, Northern Arizona. That's not really what I expected this Wildcat team to do year 1 in the Big 12. I think the Little Apple, Manhattan, it's a tougher environment than people give it credit for. I think K-State will have this thing bumping. and Avery Johnson and that dynamic offense, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for Fafita and McMillan, who I think are a great combo. I like K-State -7. I could definitely see this thing being a push. I think it's going to be a hell of a ball game. Excellent showcase for the Big 12 for sure going forward. Blake?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about last week's results between like both of these teams. They both played inferior competition, but they were probably just hiding the playbooks, knowing that they had a big game coming up in 6 days, and were trying not to show everything for the other opponents. Like you can look at K-State. K-State has not done like any design runs for Avery Johnson this year. It's insane. Like I thought Avery Johnson, I thought the problem with him would be throwing the ball. He's been throwing the ball all right, but I thought he would just be running all over the place. He only has 77 yards on the year. The guy's not running around whatsoever. And then, of course, Arizona just looked completely flat last week. But this is one of my favorite picks of the week. I like Arizona +7. I think these two teams are evenly matched. I think Noah Fafita is probably the best quarterback in the Big 12 right now. I think he's fantastic. He's not going to be a guy playing on Sundays, but he's one of those great college quarterbacks, little undersized. I like the 1-2 punch there they have with McMillan. These teams seem like they're very, very similar, and I don't get where Vegas is getting this point spread where they have at 4 points on a neutral field far off. I think a lot of these Big 12 teams, maybe besides Utah, look like way too close, way too similar. They all have some strengths, all have some major flaws, but we've seen Arizona go with they performed excellent in the Pac-12 last year, stronger Pac-12, and then performed well in their bowl game. We've seen them in big moments. I'm going with Arizona. Like these are two evenly matched teams. You're putting the point spread at 7. I think that's an easy cover there with the possibility. I'm probably going to sprinkle a little bit on Arizona money line. Like they have an easy chance, I think, to win this game. So give me the I can't say give me the Wildcats. That's just hedging because they're both named the Wildcats. But for the scratching post trophy, give me the Arizona Wildcats.
I hope they actually give out the scratching post trophy.
They need to make it.
They do. They do need
just copy the Big Ten's flow and just make a little trophy for everything. I wouldn't mind it.
I agree. We need more rivalry trophies. Ty, who do you like in this game?
Yeah, Blake said an important thing right there. Arizona very impressive in the former Pac-12 last year. Obviously, last year's teams. But look at what the former Pac-12 teams are doing right now. Obviously, Oregon, less than impressive so far. We'll see what's going on with there. And really, without Colorado to sully their name, the former Pac-12 is doing very well season to date so far. So maybe it's a little bit of bowl game recency bias on my end from OU, but I like Arizona. I like Fafita to keep it close. It looks like some people have this line moving in Arizona's favor a little bit already. It looks like it's down to 6.5. So I am confident with the Wildcats. Give me Arizona.
Look, thank God that this is the only time they play, and we only have 2 Wildcats. So that's going to trip us up. Moving on to our next game. Look, we covered like some of the Big 12 and the SEC, so you'll get a couple blends of weird ones. But this is a sneaky, sleepy, like a bit of a sleeper kind of fun game here. 2-0 UNLV overall and against the spread. They head to Kansas. They're taking on the Jayhawks 1-1 after a tough loss to Illinois. 0-2 against the spread. Playing this one at Children's Mercy Park, home of the MLS Sporting Kansas City. KU favored by 7 in this one. You can find this one 6 p.m. Central on ESPN, also on Friday. Ty, kick us off with this one as we continue the snake draft. Who do you like?
Bowden Blake is going to give you some fluff about UNLV here. They're one of his little desert project teams that he likes. But Kansas, I think, early season, right? 1-1 already. I like Kansas -7. They've been really, really good in the early seasons right now with their current coach. I like what they're doing. Give me the Jayhawks -7.
Similar to another game that we'll be picking in this, it scares me a little bit having your darling on the slate with a close point spread against a legit Power 5 team. It scares me a little bit. It feels like the hype, the spotlight's on them a little too much when you were one of the only ones supporting them for years and years in the past. But I'm not backing down now. It's the running Rebs. We were building something in the desert, and I've been preaching about it for years. And if I've been saying that for all these years, I do not back down whenever we have a major. I wish Kansas would have won. I wish they would have won last week. I'm so pissed at Illinois because we would have had UNLV potentially taking down a ranked P5 team, which would have been one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life. But this UNLV offense gives people the fits. It is weird. It is funky. As two people on this podcast see when we have our own Mountain West Dynasty League, they run some funky packages. They have two running backs standing on the same side, have a guy 5 yard, like 6-7 yards off the line of scrimmage as a wide receiver. They do some weird stuff. And learn the name Matthew Sluka. Hasn't been a great passer so far this year, but that man can run. He can run, and then the NFL prospect himself, Ricky Wright III, is an incredible wideout for them. He's going to be a game breaker in this game for a Kansas defense that allowed Illinois to kind of score on them. I don't know. I was not very high on that Illinois team last week. So, and we just gotta refurbish the bit once again. I don't trust Daniels in big games. I don't trust Daniels in big moments. This guy is a walking injury case, ready to happen. I love UNLV this week. I think they're going to sleep on them a little bit. They got beat up by a physical Big Ten team, and then now they get all the razzle-dazzle coming from the desert. I like the running Rebs here. I like them in a standalone Friday night game. The nation's eyes are going to be upon them, but I'm excited.
Blake,
not really a standalone. It is not standalone, but the nation will be watching one of two games.
This is not even the most
standalone they'll get.
This is not the most interesting game in Kansas on Friday, Blake. Like, it's not very much not standalone, but I think this is a good dual viewing experience because I think UNLV is sneaky good. I'm not there yet on UNLV +7. That's just a little too rich for me. I think KU, they got their scare. I think they have enough to bounce back and get this cover. 7 just feels like they can pull it off. But this to me, this line feels like it feels more like a toss up than UNLV at Kansas should be. But I'm going with KU -7 here, keeping it simple.
Yeah. Everyone in Twitter commenting right now, just FYI, I can't respond to you in the chat. We can only respond to people on YouTube. So I'll respond to some people if you have questions on YouTube via the chat, but we'll just continue to chug along. There's going to be more SEC games on our slate as we continue on. But yeah,
we're talking about Florida. We'll talk about Florida, folks.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Yeah. We have Florida on the slate. So talking about this specifically, I understand the UNLV hype. I'm really surprised, Blake, that how well their offense is, coming in with, new style, new quarterback. I'm been very, very surprised, especially the way they did it in game 1. The thing is with Kansas, though, which has kind of surprised me, is even though they turned over the ball 4 times, they still kept it decently close in Illinois. That surprised me a lot. Their defense has showed some things by my eye test when watching both these games where I think them, playing back, not on the road. I'm not going to say home. It's like the similar thing like the LA Chargers, whenever it's like they had no one, and when they were playing in a soccer stadium. So it's like they're not on the road, which is their positive. They're not really at home. But I think that this team's a defense we don't talk about because we like to talk about Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels doesn't throw 3 interceptions, and the defense can play, and you can establish the run. I think KU can cover this at 7.
Yep. All right. I believe Blake's an island boy with UNLV, so that's fine.
Just how it should be.
That it feels right. It kind of makes me want UNLV a little bit more, but I'm not mulliganing them. So moving on to our next game, we've got the 24th ranked Boston College Eagles, 2-0 overall and against the spread. They've looked excellent this season under new coach Bill O'Brien. Heading to Columbia, Missouri to take on the 6th ranked Missouri Tigers, 2-0 overall and against the spread. They've been killer. I believe haven't even allowed a single point. Just incredible stuff from Mizzou. Mizzou favored by 16.5. You can find this one 11:45 p.m. Central on the SEC network, unless you have DirecTV, in which case you're screwed.
Oh, God.
sorry, Jameson.
No, it's okay. It's all good. We're moving forward.
That's good. That's good. Who do you like in this game?
It's just tricky because I feel like Missouri, I feel like they would have made this line a little bit less, but they're giving a lot of respect. Vegas is giving a lot of due respect to Missouri. I feel like Missouri is extremely talented. And are we pushing Boston College too high just because the Florida State? We already know Florida State really, I mean, do we need to give them any kind of, props like this Boston College beating Florida State? Is that something for their resume? I don't really know. Here's my thinking on it. I know Missouri's damn good. Their defenses look great, like you said, Bobby, and their offense has one of the most, I guess, top. I said, could be the best offensive player in the country. I could hedge it and say top 2, top 3, but Luther Burden's just that dude. Now getting into bigger and better opponents right now. Let's put his name on, even further on the national newspaper headlines. And I think they have a big game. I think Missouri controls the narrative early and wins this game by more than 17.
I am going to go out on a ledge here because I really, really like Castellanos and Boston College. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe I'm just wish casting it a little bit that, I want Boston College to, maybe pull off a crazy upset of Missouri. I like Boston College plus 16.5 here. That feels like too many points. I'm a believer in Bill O'Brien. I can't believe I'm saying this as
stop.
As someone who's I cannot believe I'm saying it.
There he goes.
I think it kind
he
of
was in
works.
tears on the sideline, wasn't he?
I think it kind of works.
I don't know if he was in tears.
I don't know. We don't want to throw out false allegations.
That's very false.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think Boston College wins this game. I think they keep it within 16.5 though in Columbia. So give me Boston College here.
Yeah, Bobby's drinking the Kool-Aid. Like we cannot trust these teams that beat Florida State to be any good. We saw Georgia Tech go into the former Carrier Dome and just get spanked around by Syracuse, who I do not think is good. I am not buying the Cowboy Court hype. I'm not buying any of that Syracuse hype whatsoever. And I think Boston College is the exact same way. The few highlights I did see of this game, it just seems like the wheel route was working all the time. You think Mizzou will be able to defend that. It feels like they just found their glitch play against Florida State, really were able to take advantage of some horrible quarterback play by DJU, and were able to win that game easy. I don't think the same is going to be for Missouri. Missouri's talented on offense. They can spin the ball well. Brady Cook seems to be a pretty decent SEC quarterback. Jameson talked about it. Luther Burden's a beast, probably the best receiver in America. This game I feel like is going to get really ugly. This is why, I hate the AP poll. It causes the casuals to overreact, overreact to just upsets when these good teams or perceived good teams are just playing bad. It's like, yes, NIU played well, but Notre Dame also played really bad in order for that to happen. And they're talking NIU has the inner path to the playoff now. Give me a break. This team is probably going to lose 2 or 3 games in the MAC, just like every other MAC team. It's just they had their weekend, and it's great to have your moment. That's how this Boston College team is. They do not grade out well on talent. They just have a good quarterback, but that offensive line, I remember last year, was abysmal. It was trash, and I know they're not getting any new good transfers. They're not getting good talent there to supplement it. Missouri's going to eat their lunch. I think this one's going to be ugly. So give me Mizzou minus 16.5. I think, this one's going to be nasty.
Yeah, important to note, this is not Boston College's red bandana game. That is obviously a home game, so that'll be next week against Michigan State, I believe. With that being said, just another thing that I noticed today is my beloved Tennessee fans kept attacking Mizzou for no reason, which is something else that I do all the time. I love these people. So unfortunately, I will have to pick Mizzou, business decision, but I had to shout that out because
so
enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's everything I see. The more I love these people, it is tremendous. So they are in fact winning me over with the Mizzou hate, but unfortunately, put me down for Mizzou, business decision.
You're 100% going to piss all the Missouri fans off at some point, aren't you?
Good.
Like, we're going to have this exact
That's
same
fine.
situation with
Where
Missouri.
are they? Where are they?
That
I
is
don't know.
true.
Where are they?
The
Mizzou,
Mizzou
like,
fans?
yeah.
I don't know.
Listen,
Where were the Bama fans 2 weeks ago when Jameson said that Nick Saban didn't matter and that he was
Yeah,
a single
That's not
coach?
what I
That was a
said.
towel
That
take.
is not what
That-
I said.
I'm
fact
gonna
that
give
Ty-
that to the Tennessee fans.
The fact that Ty got clipped for that and Jameson did not get clipped for that.
I said
What?
this is a hot take, and I did not say that. And y'all are putting words into my mouth. I just said that I think coaches get
You talked
overhyped.
yourself into over
Oh,
a
God.
20-minute period, tucked yourself into that hole.
Everything's relative, and y'all were putting words into my mouth. That's all I said.
Fair enough. Hey, look, we got to move along here. We're moving on to what is just an interesting game because I feel like both of these programs are already under a lot of stress. The Texas A&M Aggies 1-1. Look, that one loss is looking a lot worse after Notre Dame's disastrous performance against Northern Illinois. They're taking on the Florida Gators in the Swamp, who are 1-1 as well. DJ Lagway out there quarterbacking them to a victory at Samford, I guess, whatever. Both teams are 0-2 against the spread. Something's got to give. A&M's favored by 4 on the road. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Ty, kick us off here. Look, I'm just saying you could make some friends on the Tennessee end if you're mean to Florida here. So,
I mean, I don't need to make friends because I know that we will become best friends because we're in agreement on everything. But yeah, I will be taking Texas A&M here. Here's the thing, right? It's recency bias, right? But I think Notre Dame is probably a better team than Miami. I've put my hand on the stove too many times with Miami preseason hype, including early season stuff. So Florida losing to Miami, which was a game that I thought that Florida had a fairly decent chance at winning because they're going to get smoked the rest of their schedule, no fault of their own. I like A&M in this one. I think Florida might be worse than I expected originally. So give me the Aggies against the Gators here. Again, business decision, unfortunately, but I like the Aggies.
This one's tough. It has me going in so many different directions. Parts of these programs that I love. Like a Mike Elko defense, I think is one of the best coached defenses in America. It rarely gets beat, even at Duke. Looked fantastic. Could be a house of horrors. But then on the other side, we got that little bit of hope, that little bit of, I don't know what it is, but we got that DJ Lagway last week, and he looked fantastic. I told y'all at the beginning of the season he's looking good. And although the bad thing here is Billy Napier's doing that will they, won't they thing. He's going to put Graham Mertz in. He's going to put DJ Lagway in. That never works. We've seen it with SMU this year. It puts you in the hole early in games and you can't get out of it. Just roll with DJ Lagway. He has that it factor. He can dig them maybe out of this hole. You're giving me I fell into this trap with Miami, though, the Miami-Florida game. You're giving me the plus points with Florida at home. Is it Florida at home? Is that?
Yeah, it's in Gainesville.
Just making sure it was like the blank at blank. Florida at home, the points. DJ Lagway, if he shows he's the guy. Oh, baby. Florida might show that they're the 10th best team in the SEC, like I said earlier this season. I still believe that there's a pathway. There's a pathway. But I also believed in Miami a lot. I thought that Miami team was damn good before the season, and they proved it. Granted, like both of these things can be true. That Florida is the 10th best team in the SEC. Miami is a legit playoff contender. But give me Florida. Give me the DJ Lagway magic. Just let it go on just for a little bit more. If not, if they lose this game bad, like I think Billy Napier's fired in the next week or two. So
yeah, no, I mean, dude, this is a close one because I'm really pretty low on A&M, and obviously everyone who witnessed game one knows that Florida was not very good. Lagway does change things. This is at the Swamp. I'm going to go Florida +4. I'm going to put my hand right back on that stove. I just feel like this is a low-scoring game. I think it's a sneaky bit of a toss-up. And getting plus points, especially like, A&M could win with a field goal and you still win your bet. I kind of like the Gators here. So Florida +4. That's the move. I don't love it. This is an absolute stay away. I think it's disgusting, but yeah, that's the play for me.
This is tough. It really is, because if you're picking Florida, you're saying, I think DJ Lagway, I know he's talented. I believe in him too. But a freshman quarterback having to play the level of defense that Texas A&M has is extremely difficult. Thrust it in your second start. It's very, very daunting. And whenever I come down to it, it's really easy for me to be like, I'm going to trust the talent of the offense and I'm going to ride with that. But I feel like I'm leaning more towards picking defense in this one. I think defense prevailing with Texas A&M, maybe turning over Lagway a couple times. The one part also that's really struggling with it is like, I'm scared Connor Wegman, after that broken foot last year, just doesn't have it in the future. I don't know
He's
the
bad.
exact.
He's just bad. He's bad.
I agree. And it's like, the thing is, I don't know what diagnosis he had for the broken foot. And I understand the return to play and what specific bone it can be different. But his mobility by the eye test, especially in that Notre Dame, was just not there. He was an electric playmaker in high school. He was an electric playmaker early in his Texas A&M career. I don't see him being an electric playmaker, and I don't think he's getting out there. With all that being said, this Texas A&M defense, I saw so much good from it with so little positive help from the offense that I think now that Wegman at least has a couple of things under his belt coming back from injury, I'm hoping he can at least do some things to get Texas A&M across and cover this at -4. But I'm very curious to see how he progresses through the season, because the Connor Wegman of old does not look like the Connor Wegman of new.
I think that is going to be one of the biggest points, if not the biggest point for Texas A&M this season, is what the hell is wrong with Connor Wegman. So intrigued to see what happens here.
My hot take is that DJ Lagway ends up at A&M next year. I think
no, it's not even a hot take at all.
Is it now becoming more of a reality?
Well, it just makes sense because he's a Texas kid. Didn't he grow up within an hour of Texas A&M or something like that? Really close to Texas A&M, and there's money he's going to be the hottest commodity after they lose their coach this offseason. It's going to be a free transfer, and he's going to get money bags. And who else would give it to him more than Texas A&M, Ole Miss, who are going to need quarterbacks next year if Wegman continues on the route that he is right now.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Gator fans should be concerned. That's one of the reasons why you probably should play Lagway anyways. So over Mertz. So all right, moving on to our next game. We're back in the Big 12. Blake's TCU Horned Frogs here hosting the UCF Knights here. UCF they're 2-0 overall and against the spread. TCU 2-0, but 0-2 against the spread. We got this one at a pick'em when we locked our slate. I believe it was around it's right there on right there. So this really is a coin toss. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on Fox. Jameson, who do you like in this one?
Well, here's the thing. I got a lot of flack in our Big 12 pod leaving UCF out of my top 10. And I understand you just got to bottom, that you just got to double down on it right now. I'm just going to go TCU, even though the line's shifting towards UCF. TCU at home. They're going to pipe in the Whedon boys, the weird frog music. I'm not going to say anything positive about Josh Hoover, Blake, but who knows?
Why is nobody respecting him? I told y'all he's a good quarterback and has shown it through the first 2 games of the season. And even at the end of last season, he had some bad turnovers and stuff like that. But for the most part, he looked really good for being a freshman quarterback. But just nobody around America seems to believe that he's actually a pretty good QB. No respect.
This pick is not a brain pick. This pick is all a heart pick.
They're putting Baron Morton, preseason. They're putting Baron Morton over him. Baron Morton's not even gonna survive the desert this year.
Baron Morton was slinging it. It's just that defense is just dog shit.
They got smacked. They got absolutely.
They got obliterated. Yeah. Oh my god! So
I know I'm messing around. Just for the vibes right now. Give me the Frogs at home, Whedon boys.
There we go. All right. KJ Jefferson, I was intrigued to see what he would do at UCF. He's been an absolute liability for the Knights. I know there are some strengths, they could run the ball really well. to me, I like TCU home vibes. You got the blackout going. I think TCU gets this one done. You know, I got to pick them at home against a team that I'm not really big on. So yeah, we're going to go with the Frogs here.
Yeah, the line movement on this game's been absolutely wild. It does not make sense. Like, a pick'em makes sense. I think UCF is a slightly better team than TCU this year, but to have it now at like 2.5, 3 points that we're getting to, you're telling me that UCF is a 6-point favorite on a neutral site? Give me a break. This team is so one-dimensional. KJ Jefferson just looked horrendous to start that New Hampshire game. He was just like those first few series, he was bobbling the ball, just missing wide open guys, but they got 2 studs. Their running back room's fantastic. RJ Harvey's great. Penny Boone is fantastic. They got that good 1-2 punch. This is going to be a great litmus test for the Frogs. This will really determine, depending on like win or lose, we got to look good in this game, because if we're not good in this game, we're not going to survive one of the more difficult schedules of the Big 12. But like I said earlier, Josh Hoover's not getting enough love, and that TCU receiver room is surprisingly pretty deep and has looked really good. Savion Williams leading it, but we also have Jack Betch and J.P. Richardson, a former OSU transfer, that have looked incredible in the slot positions and on the outside. This team, I will say, TCU's weakness early on, the things that have been scaring me, the offensive line has not looked great. It just seems like not necessarily like there's not talent there, just seems a little disjointed. The run game hasn't really been established. Cam Cook, although he looks great on certain plays, that he really has that breakaway speed, really shifty guy, just doesn't seem in sync with the offensive line, which scares me a little bit in this game, just because like relying on the pass game, it could be a little bit variable for a UCF defense that I think is vastly improved from last year. So I think this one's going to be really close, but you're telling me that the Frogs are now an underdog at home? No way in hell. So give me the Frogs to win this one in a very, very close matchup.
See, this one's unfortunate. I'm gonna have to start gaming the game here, I think, in taking UCF. I kind of like the Frogs, but I've got a little bit of room to zigzag a little bit. So give me UCF and to pick them. KJ Jefferson is gonna come and ruin Blake's weekend, I suppose.
Who was a KJ Jefferson hater in the offseason? Who could that have been? Anyone around?
Who was the lover?
You guys.
I was saying he was not as bad. I was saying he's not as bad as people said. Like, Arkansas last year was abysmal. But yeah, he can't throw. I forgot about that part. I thought that was just an SEC issue, but I think that just might be a skill issue. So
well, and then you add in Taylon Green, and Arkansas looks infinitely better. So I'm just saying, KJ, a little overrated.
I'm a big Taylon Green guy. I've always been a Taylon Green guy. The two could be true, but we did own UCF a little bit today. TCU sent a astronaut to space. So right before we play Space U,
do you want to use your mulligan?
That is a great omen. What an omen right there.
No, I don't need to use my mulligan on that. It's a known fact, but they're not bringing that branding here, so we'll save that for another time. God. We don't need to get UCF fan base engaged now.
And I think that really shows UCF, like the fact that they haven't gone after this podcast, but Tennessee does on a random, like 2 weeks before the game.
Because I said I wish their coach was our coach.
Like looking at what Tennessee versus UCF today, like their different fans trash talk, it's not even on the same level. UCF is so bad. Like to start the week, like I think the first slide I saw against TCU was like, the TCU Horned Frog is not a frog, it's a lizard. And I'm like, oh, dang it. Like, these guys really just suck. Like, they're just the commuter school freaks that we thought, the Disney adults that live in Orlando. Like, that's like, we knew what they were. Like, we knew what they were, but confirmed it earlier this week. They just don't got that dog in them. So, it's going to be UCF is not traveling to this game. Let's just say that.
No, of course not. And you can say that because UCF isn't going to come after you. But Tennessee, that's a fan base that'll rip into you. So, anyways, moving on to our next game, we've got the 16th ranked LSU Tigers 1-1 0-2 against the spread after a confusing bad performance against Nichols. They're heading to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. 2-0 after a shocking just beat down of the Kentucky Wildcats. LSU, a 7-point favorite on the road. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Yeah, two teams that OU has coming up in their schedule this year, so it'll be interesting to see the matchup. But I think LSU gets their wits about them, right? They're recovering from losing the Heisman quarterback. Brian Kelly, who knows? We'll see what's going on there. But South Carolina, obviously riding high. I think there's some potential for some hangover. So I really like that. I understand, where the game is at and game day and stuff. But you tell me I can get LSU -7. I'm going to jump on that. So give me the Tigers by 7.
Yeah, I don't understand the hype for this game. I don't understand why game day's going, or I do understand why game day's going there. It's because they're drawing these conference media lines that they want to, kind of how Big Noon has always done. But I don't get the hype for this game. LSU is a significantly better team than the South Carolina team. The South Carolina team struggled, and I mean struggled, to beat Old Dominion at home to start the season. And they picked on I think is probably a little bit underrated, but this Kentucky team, they do not seem like they buy Stoops at all. Like, I think they are legitimately mad that Stoops tried to leave in the offseason and kind of pulled like a whoopsie daisy, like at the last second, because the Texas A&M fans revolted. I was a little bit on Lenore Sellers in the beginning of the year, and he's looked but look, LSU has the weapons. They have the talent. They played a good game versus the USC team that I think was vastly underrated going into the year whenever they had an improved defensive scheme. And it seemed like that offense is starting to click together. It looks more like a true Lincoln Riley team. So I'm not going to really, I'm not dinging them that much for a neutral site game closer to USC where they lose at the last second. USC is a good team. LSU is a good team. South Carolina is a horrendous team. Give me the Tigers. I think a lot of these SEC matchups are just going to be rolls this week.
This is going to be such an interesting game to me because I feel like LSU, I'm not on LSU at all, but to be fair, I think South Carolina beat the crap out of a Kentucky team that, is not very good. Brock Vandegrift only threw 10 times.
What happened to him?
He was 3 for 10. It was awful.
He's modern day Tate Martell that actually got to play a little bit more. The hype I remember with Brock Vandegrift, and wasn't he flirting with OU? And then
he was committed to OU.
He was committed to OU. He was Lincoln Riley's first choice. He had him over Caleb Williams.
And so that he's bad. I don't know if that's a lack of hasn't seen the field enough during his career, but he feels like Tate Martell 2.0.
I think that says more about Kentucky than it says about South Carolina. Beamer is a guy who can get you up for a big game. And I think, after that horrible showing against Old Dominion, they needed that one. And Kentucky just got blown out of the water. They got exposed like they always do in big moments. And they lost their college game day. This game day probably would have come to Lexington for the Georgia game this weekend, but you can't do that after getting absolutely stomped. So I'm on LSU here. This game is going to be super rainy. With everything going on with the hurricane situation out there, it's going to be. Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's
Weatherman. I'm out of the loop. I'm out of the loop.
Well, yeah, you've been out of the country, but yeah, LSU's running game to me is going to be crucial here, and they've been awful so far. So that's my big concern right now. I just think they're overall better than the Gamecocks. I like LSU -7 here.
Yeah, here's the big thing. I want to give South Carolina's defense its flowers. I understand what we thought about them coming into the season is not what we've seen this far, but their defense, especially their defensive line, is the reason that Brock Vandegrift and Kentucky could not do anything. They absolutely shut them down. Their pass rush was wild. They just completely controlled the narrative of that game. I watched it all the way through, and I was honestly thoroughly impressed with South Carolina's defensive line. They've got a dude, Dylan Stewart, that everyone's been talking about in college football circles right now. He was a 5-star coming out of high school. It's whenever you see these 5-stars and they go to like programs like South Carolina had a down year, you're like, this is interesting. I'll keep a close eye on this. This guy is getting the most hype out of any, I guess, second or third most, maybe second most out of true freshmen in the country behind DJ Lagway. Am I missing anyone else?
Dylan Raiola would be the only other
Raiola.
one.
So I guess
Just
3. So
because of,
he's
the
definitely
moment.
getting the most hype of any defensive guy.
Yeah,
so,
he's and like as a defender to even be in that same class is incredible.
Yeah, and so you'll get that from quarterbacks because they're starting at big time programs right now. But the way like Stewart, the South Carolina's defense is playing, you got to give it to them. But at the same time, Kentucky's offense just wasn't it too. So it was like a perfect storm. I think Nussmeier is a pretty decent quarterback. And I think a lot of plays in that USC game really just didn't go their way. And it kind of the dominoes fell and LSU lost. There's a lot of moments in that game where I looked and I said, LSU should have won that game if they would have made that play there or that play there. I think LSU can rebound, cover the spread at 7.
Yep, there we go. Moving on to our next game, we've got the 4th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, 2-0, 1-1 against the spread. They're traveling to Madison, Wisconsin, to take on the Badgers, 2-0, 0-2 against the spread. Bama favored by 16 points on the road. You find this one big noon Saturday, 11 a.m. Central kickoff on Fox. Jameson, who do you like?
I don't know, because I feel like I hyped up Alabama a lot in the preseason, and then I'm like, the South Florida game scares me. It does, but I don't want to play conspiracy theorist here. But what the hell is going on? Why is South Florida doing this 2 years in a row? Is there some like sign?
Golesh is a good coach. I think Golesh is like a good.
But they didn't do anything else last year. Like what? Talk good about South Florida other than that game last year.
Or they did better, or they took a big step last year in the American. Like, granted, not like we're not talking 8 wins, 9 wins, but they look vastly improved wherever that, like, whenever before Golesh, they were just the doormat of that league. They look improved. They look improved.
It's fair, but it's just like something was fishy. And the way Alabama was 14-13, I think, going into the 4th quarter, that got all the headline. But then they at least ended the game on a good note. This Wisconsin team, I still think's trying to find their identity. I struggle. I'm still gonna pick Wisconsin plus 16, but I wouldn't put it. I'm not confident at all in this pick.
I'm out on Wisconsin right now. I like what they're doing with Fickle overall. They're not there yet. And even though Alabama did look really, really bad at points against South Florida, a lot of that was due to, some depth on the offensive line. They were holding out a guy that could have played. He was suited up. And the second they put him in, Alabama just went off. So I feel like it'll be a little bit of a different situation here for this one. I just think Milroe and the guys.
Tyler Van Dyke is their quarterback.
Exactly.
There's
the rub. So Mulligan, if you want it, you could go back. Because
I'm just gonna stick with it. I'll save it for later. I'm such a Tyler Van Dyke hater. I knew this. This. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
No, Jameson, you made my point for me. It's not happening for Wisconsin. Alabama rolls big here. So Tide minus 16 is my play.
Yep, the week of blowouts. This one was pretty easy for me. Even though both of these teams looks like has been struggling early on in the beginning of the season, Alabama with USF, Wisconsin versus everybody they play. They beat Western Michigan by 14 points. 14 points whenever the same Western Michigan team played Ohio State and lost by 50 something. Luke Fickell hasn't gotten it done there. And it doesn't even seem like they're anywhere close. And it starts with the quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. It was a reclamation project at best, but it was concerning to me whenever they were bringing in Tyler Van Dyke as kind of the undisputed QB1 coming into that season. When we saw him fall apart in Miami, it just didn't look like himself. It just seems like he's an old dog that can't learn new tricks. This The defense of Wisconsin's been looking pretty decent, but it's against bad competition. Jalen Milroe, I think, just brings, I don't think he's a relatively good quarterback, but he's athletic. And if your defense is not used to defending against running quarterbacks, he's gonna make you pay. I just think Bama, the better talent, the better coach. I just think they're going to give them so many fits. It's Wisconsin. If they go down early, they're not dynamic enough to really get back in this game. It could get ugly if Alabama scores 3 straight touchdowns. I just don't see Wisconsin being able to really gain any traction. They go too slow. They don't they're just not good throwing the ball. I just love Bama in the spot here. I think Bama will get exposed by other teams later on down the road, but Wisconsin's not it. Oh no, we talked him off the ledge.
I just keep thinking about it. I had came into this maybe when the first came out, and I was like, I'm going to pick Alabama. I've been an Alabama believer, and then I started to doubt myself a little bit, and then I just forgot Tyler Van Dyke was their quarterback. I'm such a Tyler Van Dyke hater. I can't do this, guys. I'm using the mulligan, my one season mulligan. Let's reverse it to Alabama.
This one would have been a hilarious. Dang it. I wanted Jameson to be sitting there when it's 10 minutes into the game, Alabama's up 21-0, and just dang it.
Tyler Van Dyke has 2 pick sixes.
Just trying to throw himself back into this.
I can't do it, guys. I hate Tyler Van Dyke. That dude, you are pumping sunshine for him for the longest time at Miami, Blake.
He was so good his freshman year. He was so good, and so there were some easy factors to play.
I saw some writing on the wall.
It's the offensive coordinator changes every single year, but after last year, I'm like, this dude's done.
Why did I even say Wisconsin? I was gonna pick Alabama this whole time. That was a weird spur of the moment thing. I've been the biggest Alabama believer in this podcast too. I don't understand where that was going. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I picked them the highest in the SEC poll.
That is true. It makes no sense. So you burned your mulligan for no reason.
I don't know. Screw it. Whatever.
Well, not for no reason because you saved your ass, but you should have just picked Alabama in the first place.
I don't know, Bobby. I'm sorry. I just made a mistake.
Fair enough. It happens. Speaking of Ty, who do you got this?
What were you gonna? What was the transition with that?
That was that. I was gonna say. Speaking of mistakes, Ty, what do you think about the game?
Yeah, no, massive strategic win for us. We got Jameson to in the same 30 days say that Nick Saban did not matter, and it was a system coach, and then burn his mulligan because he picked against Bama. For some reason, I really don't know what Jameson's strategy is here, and we are certainly never beating the ball not nowhere allegations. But I will, of course, be riding with Bama, like I always have on this pod. Jameson saying he's the biggest Bama fan on the pod is questionable at best.
I got receipts.
This year,
I put them at 2. I said on this season.
Yes.
I said this season.
Well,
I put them at number 2. You put them at 4, right?
I think so, yeah. Give me the Tide minus 16.
All right, everyone on the Tide. Moving on to, look, this game, I'm so excited about this. For the just enormous amount of Tennessee fans who are here watching this, you're gonna have no damn idea why the hell we're so excited.
If you think I'm a ball
game.
not knower, wait till you hear me talk about Texas State.
Arizona State 2-0 overall and against the spread, heading to San Marcos, Texas, to take on the Texas State Bobcats. Our guys, Boko. We Texas State's like our second favorite team. We love these guys. Arizona State favored by 2 here. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. This is a Thursday game, so tomorrow. It's only a day away for an awesome game. I'm pumped about this one. We are absolute lovers of Texas State here. Ty, who do you? Let's kick this off. Who do you got? And I don't know if you want to give the people like a little snippet of why we like Texas State, or I don't know. What do you think?
I don't even know where it came from, but we've been picking Texas State since back when a 3-win season was a very successful season. And now some people like Jameson have them squeaking into the playoffs. So again, are we beating the ball not nowhere allegations? Yet to be seen. But Texas State is in San Marcos, not San Marcos, like Bobby said.
Well, it's an accent. It's an accent. I wasn't saying Marcus. It was Marcos, but like a Marcus. I don't know.
Okay.
Bobby's like, I didn't say Marcus. I said Marcus. Okay.
I did not. I said I said Marcos with a twang. It's different. Anyways, Ty, just keep going.
With that Midwestern twang, this one is tough, right? I've long been a sympathetic to the Sun Devils and what they're trying to do, but I have to ride with Boko the Bobcat in Texas State at home. I like, Ashton in the comments said Texas State money line. I think some people are going to believe in that for sure. So give me Texas State +2. I think this might be the one that they have to hang their hat on if they're looking at that 12 spot in the playoff with an undefeated season.
This game has me in the house of horrors. Like I want to go so many different directions with this. Have so many different allegiances, ties. This feels so hard. I think I'm gonna go Arizona State. I've been really impressed what they've done this year. I thought this team was going to be bottom of the barrel Big 12. I thought they were 2 years probably away from just competing at like a normal rate, but Kenny Dillingham is a really good coach. Like that's what excites me the most about this matchup is like not only the play on the field, but it's so confused. GJ Kenny is like the hardest thing to say fast, and Kenny Dillingham are like two of the best young coaches out there. It seems like they're going to be at big time programs in the future. I like both of them. I think this is going to be a close game, but I've really liked what I've seen out of Sam Leavitt. I was a little bit nervous when Arizona State announced like a Michigan State transfer is the one that won the job.
What did you like in the last game from Sam Leavitt?
They started off so well.
I mean,
they like took their foot off the gas, but
yeah.
I like a game versus an SEC competition where it seems like they could actually do something. It's been a nice surprise. He has some juice in those legs, can throw the ball a little bit. I don't know. It just feels like when you actually have expectations about them, they really hurt you. It just seems like it's a tale as old as time. I have to keep on reminding myself that it's like when we put expectations on Boko, they don't do anything. But when you don't think about them, when you just kind of like cast them off for the week, you get like an upset against Baylor like last year. Like that's how it always works in these things. So I'm going to go Arizona State to avoid the heartbreak, but I'm hoping for a great game. I think this one's going to be good.
Look, sometimes you got to ride with your team, even when it looks dark and doesn't look great. And, I think things look great for Texas State. This is a perfect letdown opportunity for them. Things are almost going too well. And look, I'm with you, Blake. I love Arizona State. Dillingham has done a great job. I feel like Cam Scattybo is also like one of the most fun players in college football right now as well. So as much as I would like to take Arizona State here, I think San Marcos is going to be popping. I think this is probably one of the biggest games in Texas State history. And look, the last time a Trident team involving a Trident came to Texas State, y'all remember what they did? They stole the Trident and threw it right back at the sideline. Boko sees Tridents and they get excited. This is a good omen. I'm going to go Texas State to cover and win. It's only 2 points, but still. So yeah, sometimes you just got to ride with Boko. I'm riding with Boko.
Yeah, okay, let's break it down here. This Texas State team I've been watching with the absolute microscope this season. I've got 3 TVs when I'm setting up for watching our college football. I don't care if there's a primetime game on. I'm putting the grainy-ass, weird angle Texas State versus I guess we got on ESPN. I'm saying we. But Texas State UTSA got ESPNU coverage last week. So I'm very proud of them. But they've been on my big screen. And I also played with them in college football. I feel like I know this roster front and back. This offense, guys, is absolutely electric. And if they go out there and they put up a big-time offense performance on a Thursday game where there's going to be a lot of people watching, wanting college football content, this is the game to watch whenever it's on ESPN. They'll see, damn, this Jordan McLeod quarterback, what he was at JMU, he's also there. At Texas State with some really damn good weapons. Like Joey Hobart has got some of the best hands in college football. Absolute stellar passes. Cole Wilson, absolute speedster. The game Jaden Williams is also great as a transfer. this off. And then I didn't even mention probably their best player on offense in Ismail Mahdi. Arizona State's going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with this Texas State team to win. And it's really going to come down to, can they establish their own Moscatabo? But this Texas State defensive line is all upperclassmen, guys that have been there, and they're very talented as well. I think Texas State can control the narrative here, put up points early, get the momentum, get the San Marcos crowd going. Give me Texas State. I mean, I can't not pick them. Give me Texas State.
You can't go away from Texas State there. For sure, especially not rocking the Texas State tailgater shirt. So, all right, moving on to the game that we are all excited to pick. It's a big one. It's the Tulane Green Wave, 1-1, 2-0 against the spread, fresh off of a near upset victory against Kansas State in New Orleans. Look, they're looking for another big one here in Norman against the Oklahoma Sooners, ranked 15th in the country, 2-0, 1-1 against the spread. As we talked about on the podcast last week, which, I don't need to direct the Tennessee people listening to. They already found it. We were not very enthused with the Sooners. So this should be an interesting game. Especially with that massive date with the Vols looming. Sooners are favored by 14 here. You can find this game 2:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. Jameson, I hate to even ask, who do you like in this? I'm nervous to find out.
I think there's, a couple avenues with how this game's going to go. I think if Oklahoma controls the narrative and covers the spread, it's because they've reestablished their run game. The problem is with a shifting offensive line and running backs that have been less than enthusiastic by my eyes thus far, I'm not quite sure that's something that I'm too confident in doing, because what they showed versus Kansas State, their weakness in their defense was really of like, could you run on them? DJ Giddens hit some holes and really opened up the game for them. I just haven't seen much from this running back room and this offensive line room to confidently say that we have that in our repertoire. This offense is going to give us some problems. They're going to put up some points, even though our defense is a stellar defense and continue to show that this season. They're going to put up some points. Like, Mensah at quarterback is athletic. He's going to go out and make plays. He might make some mistakes, but he's going to go out and make some plays. So it's really going to come down. Can our offense execute? I'm not confident enough to say that they can at this point. I think we keep it close enough. Tulane covers the spread at +14.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair pick because this OU team hasn't looked convincing. They were not convincing at all last week. In fact, I think a lot of OU fans feel, looking at that 14-point spread, the most pessimistic ones would be like, can they even score 14 offensive points? I will say, I think Houston was an anomaly, but I think it's clear that this offense is not great, especially with everything going on the defensive or offensive line. Even, Garen Hatchett out for the season, really devastating blow, even with, obviously Branson Hickman, you want him back, but it's not great.
Branson Hickman's got a high ankle. Even if he's back, he's not going to be 100%. Those take at least the 3 weeks to start feeling the effects, especially the offensive lineman. Was Hatchett really, an effect, Bobby? Sorry to butt in, but I have to say that Hatchett wasn't a positive for us when he was playing.
Well, what was his backup going to be? You know what I mean? Like,
the guy
got to get creative
and almost loses the game for us. Yeah. That's the backup.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those situations where the offensive line is just, I'm not quite sure. I think OU wins this game. I think Mensah, while he is very effective, he makes just questionable decisions at times. Mekhi Hughes, the running back for Tulane, is awesome. So that'll be a very good challenge for this defense to really kind of slow down. And then, going to be fun to see good old friend, Mario Williams back in Norman. So I don't know. This Tulane offense is effective. I don't think OU scores nearly enough points to cover 14 because I think Tulane keeps this thing close, which is not what you want to hear as a Sooner fan. Because between you and I, and the 600 Tennessee fans here watching this, OU needs a big performance. They need a comfortable, solid win to go into this next week feeling comfortable, feeling confident against the Tennessee team that has just been absolutely rolling through this season so far. So Hopefully I'm wrong, but I think Tulane plus 14 is the play here.
Yeah, this is just a classic buy low, sell high on two of these teams. Buying low on OU. I haven't been able to watch the majority of the games, but I get enough breakdown from y'all three. Seems like the offense play calling been really bad. Jackson Arnold making probably like I knew in the beginning of the season, having some rust, some questionable play calling, but that's what happens when you're a first year starter. And then Tulane kind of got K-State at a perfect spot last weekend. They got them at home. They got them 6 days before they were playing one of their biggest games of the year versus a legitimate opponent. They probably were going in there being like, we can't show all of our cards for next week, and got caught with their pants down and actually had to start playing that game and being like, oh crap, we have to come back against Tulane. I think this Tulane team, John Summerall, I think he's a great coach. I think he gets his teams up, and that was a great hire for Tulane. But this OU defense is just completely just on a different league better than K-State. They're going to be able to stop what Tulane's trying to do. Like, that Tulane offense is not going to move as much as it did last week. They're really bad against the run. I know OU has a stable of backs always that can just pop off at random moments, not knowing who Gavin Sawchuk was last year and him just run all over the field at the end of the year. They have some good guys in the backfield. I think this is just the perfect opportunity to buy low on OU. 14 points is really not that much at home. This Tulane team, like, they were going to be a good American team, but we've kind of learned with SMU how quality that American conference is. It's like not that good. It's really not that good this year. It's like kind of Memphis and everybody else. So I'm going to buy low, take OU. My funny little bit is the stat site I use to just like look at player stats. Currently, Sam Franklin, is that one of y'all's running backs?
Sam Franklin, yes, he's
so he currently, like, he has it listed. It's an obvious error, but he has 4 attempts on the year for 445 yards, which has his average yard per carry as 111 yards, which just cannot happen. But
dude, he is like the one running back that I've seen hit a hole in this running stable. So I mean, relatively versus the other running backs, maybe.
Yeah. So I just got to trust that OU is they're just so much more talented than this Tulane team. At some point, you just got to bet that the talent shows through before they have to get to some of their harder SEC opponents like next week. But yeah, just 14 just seems way, 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 way too low. It seems like if Houston was going up against Tulane, it would be about a pick 'em. And yeah, this feels off. This line just feels off. So give me OU in the 14.
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm gonna go with OU. I gotta go with OU, but it's realistically, I don't think there's a situation where I think there's two like most likely things here, and it's that OU figures it out at least enough to cover against Tulane, or Tulane just straight up wins. If we don't adjust from Houston, right? The defense was great, but we, had some safeties. We created that play, but that's not something you can count on all the time. Interceptions, obviously, one came back, one stuck, but I don't know if Tulane can really control the time of possession and we continue to play call offensively like we have. I mean, obviously, yeah, the missing pieces on the line, the missing, hopefully we get Nick Anderson, back soon to get that tool back on the offense. Farouk's injuries hurt us really bad. And then again, the line is just terribly hurting us right now. It wouldn't shock me if OU doesn't do anything here. And then, we're sitting here, I guess it would kind of be a troll to Tennessee because it would mean less for that game when they come to Norman. But I think OU gets the cover here. I think that's the more likely of the two things is we change some stuff up, we make some adjustments finally. But Tulane is not to be slept on for sure. I mean, I'd be worried about going and playing that K-State team. So looking at that one, Tulane does frighten me. Tulane has frightened much better OU teams than this one. So it's certainly something to watch out for being realistic, but we got to turn that off. And we got to go full in on the Sooners minus 14 at home against Tulane.
One thing that would make me feel better going into this game for OU side of things is is Jake Taylor at right tackle going to play with that injury they took him out? Because if he's out again, we're once again shuffling this offensive line and not having continuity with this offensive line group through practice in these games. It's just so hard for me to believe that we can light bulb go off in our head and something works in this game. Until we can actually get an offensive line group that stays healthy and we can practice through it with them throughout the week and they can kind of get some bond between them. I can't have confidence yet in covering a spread. But if he plays, that might be the same, offensive line group for the most part than we had last game. So I would feel a little bit better, but it's such a shame of how decimated we are in terms of injuries already.
Jameson, what's the stat? Is it 7 different combinations of O-line that Arnold has played with now?
I heard that that number is also.
I think that might include the bowl game.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, it does include the bowl game.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. The continuity is clearly just a problem right now, and you don't have a lot of time to figure it out. But
Also, I almost forgot to mention it on the pod. I've been talking about it in the group text all week. Arnold with 6 touchdowns, OU with 5 third down conversions all year. So that's some sort of advanced analytic right there.
It's wild, man. I really hope. I agree with you, Blake. You're buying low on Oklahoma and then what they did last week. That completely makes sense. I just need to see it first. That's all it is.
Yeah. I think that's my thing is just fresh off of it. It's hard to have a lot of confidence in OU racking it up on
offense. Offense. It's all the offense. I feel damn good about this defense. What my opinion with OU's defense is compared to what I had in the preseason, I'd say it's higher now. And so that's very reassuring, but the offense is plummeted.
Somebody has used a monkey paw somewhere in Norman and just has been wanting a defense for so long and then has totally tanked the offense. I don't get it.
Y'all have the exact same reference on a past podcast.
Okay. Yep. I was like, y'all have the primo of something. It just never can align. It's just if the defense could just take a step down so the offense could excel, this OU team would be really dangerous. It's just wild that nothing seems to ever coincide.
Yeah.
Wait a second. How am I picking the wild card first again?
Yeah, Bobby, we screwed it up somehow to where you need to let me go first in the wild card.
Nope. We cannot change the snake mid-pod.
Well, he can't pick Boko, so let's just hit the music for our favorite pick of the week.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches!
It's time for the wild card picks, where we get to pick our favorite pick from just the general slate that we have not picked yet. We're also keeping track of the standings. Ty is the only one who have won a wild card.
Should have been me.
It should have, yeah, because Jameson would have gotten Boko -1 or Texas State -1, but Ty nabbed it. So Ty, I guess Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Oh, come on.
My one wild card loss this season. I'm not going to stop. My one wild card loss this season was the Ohio State Buckeyes -49.5 in their season opener. I always love to pick the biggest line in the season opener. Traditionally, it had been Bama. I had to transition to Ohio State, and I got what I deserved for believing in Ryan Day. I was basically an Ohio State booster that day, just being bamboozled once again by Ryan Day. This week, the stars have aligned. Is this some sort of complex jinx because I'm a ball not knower? Does it really matter if they don't cover a 49-point spread? No, it doesn't, because they're going to win big either way. But I love swinging for the fences with these. Nothing makes me happier than hitting the biggest line of the week. And well, what could it be but Tennessee -49 against Kent State, a team that OU has played as in recent years as one of our out-of-conference opponents. We did not hang, I don't think, 49 on them as a spread, but I really like that one. So go ahead and give me the Vols -49 against Kent State. Cover the spread. Hopefully OU covers the spread, and we'll have a very fun week next week.
tie with the Vols minus 49. I love it. Blake, who do you got?
Yeah, this week has so many tasty ones. It almost
Mhm.
has me wanting to use my my extra wild card, but I'm just gonna keep that one in the pocket for a little bit. I like to keep it for an interesting moment and nice. I like to bring it out when there's like a good one of y'all make a ball not knower take and I really pounce on it. Or be like last year and just emasculate Jameson by taking Texas State in their final game. But I am going to go with this week, sadly, because none of these teams seem to be very good, but there is a lot of rivalries on the slate this week. Kind of got a little like non-conference rivalry game with all the different conferences that are broken up over the years and stuff like that. This one, I'm going to take the West Virginia Mountaineers minus 2.5 versus the Pitt Panthers. I think West Virginia, they're still a solid Big 12 team. Although the Penn State game was a little bit disappointing. I was kind of, I think, riding the high. But Penn State does, like, at the end of the day, they do have a solid defense. They do have the offense that can move the ball a little bit, maybe versus some of these mid-level teams to below. But I think they're going to eat on this Pitt defense. This Pitt defense is wild because it's not like a physical Pat Narduzzi. They can really lean on it, and it just, for some reason, their slow offense just can't score enough points. They're actually running some tempo with the offense, which I think is hurting the defense. The defense isn't very talented. Plus, they're going fast, so no time to rest. I just feel like West Virginia is just going to eat on the ground. This feels like a classic Garrett Green, keep it on the ground, CJ Donaldson, and they just run all over this Pitt defense. They're able to control the tempo of the game. I don't see these teams being so close in a point spread. I'm going to take the Mountaineers here. This Pitt defense, I think, is a shell. It's a fraud. So I'm going to just isolate that one part of it and just profit off of it. So give me the Mountaineers.
They got them at -2 on ESPN Bet, so
Perfect.
you'll get an extra half.
Sweet.
Perfect. I will take it.
All right. Well, in that spirit of these like kind of interesting non-conference rivalries, I'm gonna go with a team I've paid a lot of attention to the past couple weeks. So the Oregon Ducks have our good old friend Dylan Gabriel. Look, they've got a couple problems, man. Week 1 look really, really shoddy against Idaho. Not great at all. Like almost losing to the Vandals. Week 2, you kind of expect them to bounce back, and frankly, they should have lost to Boise State. Ashton Genty, hell of a player. Don't get me wrong, but Oregon is just really riddled with a lot of mistakes, a lot of bad offensive line play overall. Just really dodgy. A lot of penalties, and you've seen this across both of those games. So now they're going to have to try to figure this out in Corvallis, Oregon, which is going to be packed to the brim full of Beavers who hate their guts because they were left for dead when Oregon left them for the Big Ten. So that to me just feels like the worst case scenario to recover. I don't think they do. I think they win, but the line right now, Oregon -16, give me the Beavers +16 here. I know Oregon State kind of meh talent-wise rebuilding, but sometimes you just got to go off vibes, and Oregon is just they're not there right now. I think Beavers +16 is the play. Too many points.
Bobby, you started off this, and I thought you were going to take what I was going to pick, and I got very disappointed. I was about to throw a whole fit that I was going to have to change my wild card because of damn ordering again. But thank God. You said this is a team I've spent a lot of time looking very closely at. I thought you were going to bring up Oklahoma State. And I've got Oklahoma State going into Tulsa. You'll have a lot of pokes there in Tulsa as a 19-point favorite. Oklahoma State got their dirty game out of the way with Arkansas. We say this every year. They get a dirty game at the beginning. We're like, what's going on here? They came back in that second half and capitalized, and they didn't even utilize their run game that much. I think Tulsa is a team that I'm not very confident in. And I think with kind of this fake non-home field advantage that they might not have in Tulsa, I mean, still Tulsa fans will be out there, but there's going to be a lot of pokes.
It's an OSU home game for sure.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. I think that Oklahoma State minus 19 is something I feel very confident in. I feel like they can control the narrative and kind of chip away at that 19 and get it there. So give me the Pokes minus 19.
All right. Hey, I like that pick like quite a bit actually. So good.
I
move
thought
there.
for sure you were going to pick that whenever you said it. I was going to be so mad. Oh my
Which is
God. I was
fair.
going to be so mad, and I was going to have to scramble. And my backup pick, I just didn't want to pick it just because it would have been Ole Miss, and I just don't want to pick Ole Miss.
That's
Ole
fair.
Miss, Wake Forest losing to Virginia. That's a bad look. And Ole Miss is only down 22.5 versus them. Ole Miss tries to put up 60 on everybody. Like, come on now.
Ole Miss Wake Forest on the CW like that.
And then I'd have to watch
what
the CW.
Yeah, what a gross game. I love it. That's fun. No pot of greets, no takers. I think that's fair. All right, that's all we have for today's show. We'll be back picking games on Wednesday with what looks to be a pretty damn packed slate. Looking like games like USC at Michigan, NC State at Clemson. We got TCU SMU, which will be fun for Blake. Vandy at Missouri could be a little spicy. Utah at Oklahoma State, and of course, what I'm sure all the Vols fans are waiting for: Tennessee at Oklahoma. OU's first SEC home game should be a great one. Looking forward to talking about it, but only if they find a way to win. No, find a way. If OU loses to Tulane, that's not going to be a fun podcast at all. But I don't know.
Once again, we're going to have people on here defending our play calling, defending our offensive coordinator if we do, but we'll see.
Fair enough. All right, boys. That's all we have for today. Thank you all so much for listening or watching, even if it's hate watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. OU Tennessee preview coming on Sunday. So see y'all soon. Have a good one. Good luck out there, everyone.